Welcome to the next episode of Chatbots. In this tutorial, we're going to cover reading and writing to a database or a text file. Um, so this is where we were at last time. A couple new things here. What we're going to do first is in our file that we have our bot, which is here, which is this one. We're going to make a text file, and this is going to hold all of our data, our information. So just right click, new text document, and we'll call this one Nix. Make sure you remember how you spell it. Just spell it like that. Okay? And that is our empty file. So what we're going to be using here, we need to have this and this imported. Some of these at this point we don't use. But this is why I told you to import these in the beginning, is because we're going to start using them now. So if you have this one, this, JSON, and this, we're going to be ready to start. So outside of our bot class, right here, what we got to do is when it loads the file, loads the bot, we got to load our file and stick it in something called a dictionary. It's a dict. It's funny, but okay. So first thing, we got to make an empty array. Basically what it is, it's a dictionary. So we're going to call this Nix, and it's going to equal dict. Okay, oops, that. So now we have an empty Nix. It's kind of like an array, but it's a little different in that it has keys to it. You'll see what I'm talking about here in a bit. Like the first, it's basically a dictionary, where you have like a word and then the information that follows it. You'll see what I'm talking about here in a bit. So next, we're going to make a variable. We're just going to call it f for file. And then we're going to set equals, and then we're going to set open. And then what are we going to open? We're going to open our text file. So it's going to be nix.text. Okay? Then a comma, then another thing, and we're going to put an R. And what this is doing is it's setting F to open the Nix text file, and then the R means to read it. Now if we were writing to the file, we would put a W. But since we just want to read all the information, we're putting an R. So this is going to be read. We'll just leave that like that, okay? So now what we're going to do here is we're going to print and then info like we normally do, and loading Nix. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to give ourselves some time to read it, and it's just going to be 1. So what we're doing here is, by the way, if you have trouble understanding like things like dots and all kinds of stuff, I'm making a new series because I know I don't spend a whole lot of time going over every little piece of code. But if you want, I'm making a new series on Python 101, and I'm also doing a series on Java 101 and Android game development. So I'm really looking forward to doing those. I'm really excited about it. I hope you guys are too. Anyway, so let's go. Just check those videos out. If you have trouble understanding anything, it's going to cover all the basics. Okay. So, all right, where were we? All right, so we put it to sleep for a sec, so we can read what's going on. All right. So now we're going to say for And now this line, this could be anything. This is basically a variable for line. It could be for stuff in, but for this we're going to put for line in, and then f.read lines. And what that's going to do is it's going to read all of the lines in the in F. Okay, so each line, you'll be able to understand it once I show you the actual line. Actually, you know what? I can show you my bot here. So I'll show you here. Alright, this is a dictionary. It's basically an array, but it has two things in it. Now this is the key, and that's going to be the username, and then this is going to be the dictionary, or not the, this is going to be the this is going to be the nickname here. Okay, so these are going to be all the usernames, and these are going to be the nicknames. Okay, so this is the key here, and that's going to be what we call user. Okay, and then this is going to be the information. Alright, so there's that. So now for each line in the file, read lines. Okay, so for the line in all of the files, all the lines in the files, in the one file, what do we want to do? Well, we're going to try and accept. Okay, and then for the accept, we're going to print, and error. Alright, now what this is here is it's saying, okay, we want to place a string here. Okay, so we're going to put a thing, and then we're going to do another modulus, and then we're going to put the name of the string, which is just going to be line, because that's going to be the line we want to print out. So line. Okay, and that's going to be our exception. So we don't want the bot to crash if it has an error, so we just put a try and an accept in there. And then, now this would also work here if you didn't want to do that. You could just do this. You'll see me doing that a lot. Okay? So, but for now we'll just do, I just wanted to show you a new thing. Okay, so if you see me doing that, you'll understand what's going on. What, kitty, what? Alright, where were we at here? Let me see. We're doing this. Okay, so now what we gotta do is we gotta set and make a new variable, and it's gonna equal JSON.loads. Okay, now this is where we're gonna be using this here. So we call the file, and then we call the method name. Alright. Sorry. So now what do we want to load? We want to load the nix and then user. Okay, now user is going to be the first line, and then nix is going to be the thing here. Okay, so we're loading the nick, or with the nick is equaling this here. All right, for each line. All right, so actually no, I got mixed up here. I'm getting a little ahead of myself here. Now, first thing I'm going to do, if length. That was actually to load the screen name to Nick. I got a little bit confused there. So now, if the length of line.strip. Sorry about that, guys. That's so confusing. So basically, this is just going to strip all the stuff off it. Off each line, and this is a loop. It's going to loop through each line and do this for each line, okay? And then it's going to strip this, strip each line. If you want, I'm going to show you something real quick. I covered this in my other video. If you are in here, you could do help, and then for certain stuff here, you can go anyways, so the strip would be I guess you could look it up in the docs too. Okay, you do and then in here they have plenty of documentation on stuff. I know this is a little out of there, but and this is, it's going to be a string method. Oops. Oops. Just do this. Okay. So here is where we see all the string methods, okay? And we're going to see a bunch of the ones we started out using here. And we're going to see a bunch of them that we're going to use here. So, like join, lower, almost the one there, split, split, split lines, strip. Return a copy of the string with the leading or trailing characters removed. Okay, space is that strip. And what that does is it strips the white space from it. Okay. And it strips, if you put stuff in, it'll also strip the letters here, like this, the W's, the dots, the com. Okay. Alright, so that's that for now. Alright, so line.strip, now that we explained a little bit of what strip means, and then if it is greater than 0, okay, what do we want to do? Well, we're going to make the user and a nick, and then we're going to dump the load, actually, kind of what I showed you just a second ago, and it's going to say JSON. Okay. Now we put user nick JSON loads, and it's going to be okay. So what that's doing is it's taking away the white space, and it's loading user to the first part of it and nick to the second part. So, and then JSON loads, that's loading, and then the line is going to, for each line dot strip, and then it's going to clean off the white space. Like if you look here. So basically, imagine this, not here, this, no, the white space, etc. And then tennis swimmer is going to be the first one. So let me make sure I got this right. User, yep, and then nick, is going to be the second one. And basically these are just how you assign multiple variables in one line. So we'll just do that. Okay, now in this turn, in this line here, we're going to call our NICS, dictionary array, basically same thing, kind of a little bit different, but then we're going to put in user, which is going to put this in there. Right? So, and that's going to equal JSON dot dumps, and then we're going to dump the NIC in here. All right. So the user is going to be the line or the key, basically, and then we're going to put the NIC inside of there. So it's going to put the NIC in the first spot, and then the user name in the first spot, and then NIC in the second. It's a little bit tricky to understand, but you basically you should get the hang of it. If you have any questions about it, feel free to ask. Feel free to look at the documentation. Feel free to check out other tutorials. And I'm also making, well, I only have one so far, but like I was saying earlier, I also starting a new series on Python 101. So, alright. Moving right along. So now we have our file loaded. Now we have to, okay, so f.close, and that's basically, we opened it, and then we did our stuff, we loaded information, we dumped it into our array, our dict, so now we're doing close, okay? Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to make a function, okay? We haven't really made any, well, we have made functions, but like outside of our class here. So what we're going to do is we're going to do define, and it's going to be called screen name to NIC, and that's just a name I'm making up here. And then as a parameter, it's going to take in some information, and the information it's going to take in is going to be the user dot name, but we're just going to set it to a new variable, username. Okay. Now the information we're going to pass in is going to be user.name. Okay, and you'll see later on how we pass that information in. And then user.name is basically going to be set to this. Actually, we're going to also be passing in args sometimes, and then the args is going to be set to this variable called username. Okay, so once this gets called and the information is passed in, username is now or user.name is now set to this in this function. We can still call it other places, but now we have a variable username that is equals whatever is passed in. I hope you guys are kind of following along here. So user is going to equal. Now I do this just as a a better, like kind of like a precaution thing. I always, when I'm reading and writing to files and different things, I always just make it lowercase. This is also a string method here, because username is going to be a string. So just do that. It's good practice, in my opinion anyways. So if user in our NICS, if the user.name is in this, then we're going to set nick equal to JSON dot loads. Alright, so what this is basically doing here is we're making a variable called nick, and that's going to be an individual nick name. Don't set it to nicks, set it to nick, okay, because these are two different things here. This is just one thing, and this is a whole bunch of things, depending on how many are in there, okay, so that might confuse you a little bit, but, and then basically it's loading the line inside of nicks that is equal to the user. Okay, so basically it's loading, and it's not going to load the username. It's just going to load the nick. Okay, and then we're going to return. Nick.title. Okay, and what this is going to do is it's going to, anywhere we use this, where we used to put user.name, it's going to return the nickname, and each letter of it is going to be capitalized. Each of our, not each letter, each beginning letter of each word. I believe it is, anyways. So now, excuse me. So else. So if the user isn't in the nick dictionary, we're just going to return user dot. I don't know what that is. Alright, let me close this. Irritating. Anyways, where were we? So, if the user is in there, do this stuff and return nick.title. If it's not, return user.capitalize. Alright, so now we have our function here. So, with that, we're going to come to our onMessage, okay, and we're going to do our first command, not our first command, we're going to do a new command, and it's going to be called save. Actually, I'll do it here, I guess. So, it's going to be elif used underscore prefix and cmd equals, and it's going to be save. And then here, what we're going to do is okay, we're just going to output something, and now we're going to do info. Okay, and now here what we're going to do is f equals basically the same thing, just a little bit different, and it's going to be excuse me for a minute, and it's going to be a W this time, so I'll just leave a little note right with the W, and then it's going to be nix.text. Okay, So there is that part. Okay, so now we have that. Okay. Same way as before. Now, except for this time, it's going to be a little bit different here. And then there's going to be some differences here, but there's not going to be very many. Okay, so we're going to load our thing, and we're going to put user in there. Alright, so for this, the user line, so for each line, each user line in the Nix, we're going to load Nick. See, there I made a mistake. We're going to load Nick, and then we're going to write f.write. And it's going to write one line for each time it loops through. So for each user in Nix, we're going to set this, and then we're going to write, and we're going to write, what we're going to write is, oops, we're going to write JSON.dumps. And then, so basically we're going to dump the file here. Oops. Okay. And we're going to dump user, comma, Nick. Alright. And then we're going to put a plus and then a new line. That's what that is. Okay. So basically it's dumping, it's writing to the file. What it's writing is the JSON dumps, kind of like we did up there. But it's going to write this as the first spot, and then this as the second spot. Okay, so now we're just going to close the file, like so. Alright, and there we go. We have our save command. So, alright, let me get me some space here. Now we're going to write our next one, so elif. And this is to actually save a Nick. Okay. Alright, and then we're going to let me think where to go here. Alright, there it is. Alright, a little bit of fail humor. So if there is argument, if there is an args afterwards, okay, so if args, so it won't work if there's no args. It'll just get to this spot and then exit this command and go on to these other ones. So if there's args, what do we want to do? Nix, or not Nix, make sure it's Nick. Make sure you pay attention, unlike me. So Nick equals args dot lower, just good to do, just lower. And then user equals okay. So now we're going to set our call our array here. So Nix is the dictionary, user is going to be passed in, and I'm going to say JSON dumps, and then we're going to pass in Nick. Okay, so now Nick is going to be set in here. And then we're going to just output a message to the chat. say user plus Alright, and there we go. We are done with our first database. Okay, so now what we got to do is in each of the places that go ahead and do that. So in each of the places here that you have room.name, I mean not room.name, user.name, we're just going to put that. Okay? So that's how that works. It's going to call this function. It's going to say, okay, where is this at? It's going to look up here. It's going to pass in the user.name. It's going to go through all this, and then it's going to return either user.name or the new nickname. Okay? And that's going to return it here. So basically, this is either going to be user.name or the nickname. That's what it's going to return to there. Okay? So I'm going to just go ahead and copy this and just go through the code everywhere and put that like that. Okay. All right. And I believe that is it. Go ahead and save this, run it, see what kind of errors we get. Seems I always get errors here. Can't see what I did here. What did I do wrong? Well, I think I did it right. Let me think. User index. Oh, duh. Alright, so go ahead and get rid of them semicolons. I kind of made a mistake there in that. So now we loaded our nicks, we slept for a second, and then we loaded our bot. Okay? So now we'll go, I forget the prefix of this, and the prefix is that. Okay, so first we'll go, I don't know if that's one. Okay. Oh, by the way, this is the new account that I'm using here. Alright. So now we'll go, oops. I fail. You fail. You failed, damn it. Alright. I don't understand what happened there. going to get rid of this. So we can get the error. I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Do a little bit of troubleshooting here. So I don't know what exactly went wrong. Alright, there's our stupid error. Alright, so go ahead and save that. Run it again. Nick JP. Alright, so try to save. Crash, crash, crash. Oh, duh. I used the wrong thing. Might go in another freaking bug. Alright, well, let's see. Okay. So, let's go ahead and see what's going on here. Did it work? Did it work? Sure did. There we go. We have my username, then my nickname in lowercase. So now we'll try to use it and see what it returns. Say stuff. I keep using the wrong thing. And there you go. My username in capitals. Alright. Now, as you see in each place, it has my nickname there. Bang, bang, boom. Alright. Now, there's a bunch of fun things you can do with databases and different things like that. So, I hope you enjoyed this. In our next video, we're going to be doing some good old-fashioned web scraping, some public data hacking from websites. I'm really excited about that too. Alright, so we'll see you then. Peace.